Hi pals, welcome back to African Twisted History. This is the place where we talk about different African events, things that happened before colonization, during colonization, and after colonization. Now I've said this before, Africa is a huge continent with different beautiful countries with unique cultures, and we shall try to cover as much as possible on this channel. Today we are going to talk about the worst man on earth. I know you're wondering, what has Hitler got to do with Africa? He ain't got nothing to do with Africa. The man I'm going to talk about today will give Hitler a run for his money. This guy killed 15 million Africans, got away with it, and actually got paid $2 billion for his atrocities. He is the epitome of evil, the Armageddon that befell Congo. His Royal Highness, the King of Belgium, King Leopold II. I think that's a good introduction for him. Anyway, before we start, I would like to give a small disclaimer. The story I'm about to give is based on internet research that I've done in articles and books I've read on this topic. It's not meant to disrespect or disregard anyone. It's for educational purposes only. And if you feel I've mentioned something that is inaccurate, please feel free to mention it down in the comments below to educate me better and every other person who will be listening to this story. Let's get started. When the European powers got together to split Africa among themselves in late 1884, a piece of the map was left out of the hands of all countries. In the center of the continent, there was a region called the Congo. It will be left to the Africans themselves, as it had happened with Ethiopia and Liberia, the only other two regions to retain their independence, but instead, the huge area was recognized by the Berlin Conference as private property, and it belonged solely and exclusively to King Leopold II of the Belgium, and will remain like that until the early 20th century. In the following years, the Congo Free State will not become known for this peculiar condition, but for another reason much, much darker. The extreme brutality which the local population was treated by Leopold's henchmen is something that has been described by some historians as Africa's forgotten Holocaust, which it is. It's a genocide. One of the most famous explorers of that time was Henry Morton Stanley, a Welsh journalist who dedicated most of his life to unraveling Africa's secrets. He had already become famous for finding alive in 1871 British missionary David Livingstone, who had gone missing in the continent 6 years previously. Stanley had also made expeditions to look for the source of River Nile. He was personally hired by Leopold II to map the Congo River basin and ensure the king's control of the region. Even though the riches of the Congo were not entirely known, no European power doubted that such a vast area in the center of Africa could have something else other than unimaginable economic potential. The region was disputed by countries like France and Portugal. However, in this race to take control of other people's territory, Leopold II would take the lead. He won, you guys. The Belgian king was one of the main encouragers of the Berlin Conference, which redrew the map of Africa. In his own words, Leopold II did not want to take the risk of missing a quote-unquote a fine chance to secure for ourselves a slice of this magnificent African cake. Of course, they knew our country was magnificent and rich and beautiful, and like with everything they touch, they obviously destroy. At its ends in 1885, I'm sorry about that, the conference had blown up the previous order of powers in the interior of Africa and established artificial borders under control of each superpower, and guaranteed that Congo would remain in the hands of the monarch. Ironically, Leopold II had an incomparably bigger power in Africa than in his own country. While in Belgium, he was a symbolic figure in a parliamentary monarchy system, in Congo, he had absolute powers, just like in the olden days, which is understandable because Congo was his private property. It's like if you own a car, you can do anything you want with it. But even if you're a firstborn in your family, that your parents are still above you, their parents are still above them. That's what I can compare it to. In a short period of time, the king focused his economic interest in the exports of latex and abundant products in the region's forests, using troops of mercenaries to force the local population to cater to his interest. The extraction of ivory and mining also helped to fill Leopold's coffers as the harvesting of rubber. To make up for the low production, troops began to use hands as currency. Chopping them was a way of punishing workers who did not fulfill their quotas, and at the same time served to show that soldiers were doing their part in exerting pressure over the local population to ensure the fulfillment of these quotas. Theoretically, hands should serve as a way of proving that those who did not comply with their work had been killed, and indeed, it is estimated that up to 15 million people died during Leopold II's rule, either due to repression or the terrible living condition imposed on the local population with widespread diseases and malnourishment. Remember, when they amputate you, they don't treat you. They either leave you there to die or leave. Honestly, they did nothing about it. Some of those whose hands were amputated were forced to hold their amputated arms so that the soldiers can take pictures of them for enjoyment. When these pictures reached Belgium, they went as far as making chocolate-looking hands to mock the situation ongoing in Congo. The images of Congolese people with one of their hands severed began to circulate through Europe, causing immense outrage. Even for the standards of colonial exploitation, which was invariably violent, what had been going on under Leopold's rule was considered beyond the acceptable limits of those who claimed to be in a civilizing mission. Now listen. They are condemning King Leopold, but they were doing almost the same thing. They were beating our people, chasing them out of their homes, making them work in their fields for free, raping our men in public to exert domination, raping our children and girls, taking our people to slavery. They did the same thing as Leopold, according to me, but that's just my opinion. Different reports and accusations were made describing in details what was happening in the Congo, and works of fiction began to include these atrocities in their plots. The international pressure forced the Belgian government to take actions to free the Congo state from the hands of the monarch. A transfer that will be concluded in 1908, 1 year before the death of Leopold II. The transition was not cheap. Now, this is where he makes a shit ton of money from doing so much wrong. Leopold only relinquished his control after a financial compensation of 215 million Belgian francs, approximately $2 billion in present-day currency. They paid him $2 billion to leave. Honestly, this is sad. He got rich, but left a legacy of poverty, unimaginable pain, and revolt in Congo. Until date, Congo is still a very poor African country, if I can say it like that, which is just really, really sad. Nothing has ever been done for them. No apology has ever been given, and it's not like an apology would do much. They don't just need an apology. They also need compensation for what they went through. That $2 billion that was given to this man should be given back to the Congo to build their country again. To restart again. Like I said, what these white people touched in Africa, they destroyed. They really did. And that is just very, very sad. Anyway, we have come to the end of the story of this despicable monarch and his mercenaries. The good thing about this story, honestly, the part that I feel like, okay, is the fact that he died without enjoying his money, because He died less than a year after he relinquished the control of the Congo. So he really didn't get to enjoy that money at all. Maybe his children and his children's children did, but as long as he didn't, I'm kind of like, yeah, you didn't get what you deserve. He honestly didn't get what he deserved, but he didn't get to enjoy that money either, because even God in heaven knows it was not his to enjoy. Thank you. Anyway, I have decided that I will be uploading twice a week. I have so many stories lined up for you people, but I also want you people to give me your suggestions on stories that you want me to do about African history. Write them in the comment section below. I promise I will read them, do my research, and narrate these stories to you for your own enjoyment and of course for educational purposes again. I'll be uploading, as I said, I'll be uploading Monday and Friday, because I will be uploading Monday and Friday, and maybe within the week when I have enough time. Meanwhile, please like, subscribe, and share if you loved this video. I cannot wait to share more stories with you guys. I'm having so much fun creating this type of content, and I hope that you're having fun as well. So I'll see you next week. Have a good weekend. Yeah, it's Friday. Have a good weekend. Enjoy yourself and be safe out there. Bye bye.